The story begins in a grand setting where a large crowd gathers, listening closely. Speakers take the stage to honor the brave heroes who joined forces to save a girl. Yet, amid the praise, another speaker reflects on the greatest villain, someone so unforgettable that, despite his darkness, everyone still loves him. The scene shifts to a school classroom, where students quietly watch a movie playing on the screen. Among them, Yodaka Eda-kun sits bored, absent-mindedly scribbling on a page. Noticing his lack of attention, the teacher glares at him with clear irritation and questions his behavior, displeased by his disinterest in the film. While the movie plays, he answers that he has no interest in what he sees as a meaningless hero tale. The teacher, already irritated by his lack of focus, snaps at him, but before she can say more, a girl shouts that the heroes aren't bad at all. Unbothered by their anger, Yodaka, visibly annoyed, speaks up. He says it's nonsense that these so-called heroes only fight when they're in a group, and when alone, they're nothing but cowards with no real courage to stand on their own. The teacher argues that the villains also fight as a group, but he fires back that those enemies aren't true allies, they're more like extensions of one another. His voice sharpens as he mocks the idea that all the heroes, even when united, still manage to lose. To him, it's laughable. Just as he's about to continue, another student quietly raises his hand and politely asks he to stop interrupting. He's actually interested in watching the hero story. Yodaka silently sits down. Someone whispers that Subaru was being too serious. Meanwhile, Yodaka resumes scribbling on his page. A few minutes later, the movie ends. The teacher cheerfully announces that it was made with the help of real-life heroes and reminds everyone to be thankful for those who risked their lives to protect others. As the lecture ends, Mimosa approaches him with a smile. She says that while he may believe villains can be good too, he shouldn't say it so loudly. Before she can continue, her classmates call her, and she walks away. Now standing in the restroom, Eda-kun looks around carefully before calling someone to come out. At that exact moment, a goat with a massive monstrous body appears beside him. The goat monster looks irritated by the hero-themed movie and makes suspicious remarks about Karasuma Subaru, questioning whether he's really important or just an overly dramatic show-off. Still, he cheerfully admits that Mimosa is a cute girl. When he unintentionally mutters that she's better than all his simple-minded classmates, the goat grins and suggests making her his assistant. Embarrassed and flustered, he immediately denies it. Suddenly, two students enter the restroom. Seeing him talking to seemingly no one, they exchange suspicious glances, whispering that he might be talking to himself, or to an imaginary friend. As they leave, he calmly washes his hands. On his way home, the goat walks beside him. He tells him that he knows he's not imaginary and admits he needs a companion, someone more than just a made-up servant. When the goat teasingly asks if he really believes in imaginary things, he sighs and reminds him that on the day they first met, the goat claimed to be the 37th grade lowest demon from hell who wanted to become his subordinate. Now looking at the goat, he says he has no choice but to let him stay, then warns him not to try flattering him again. As he walks, someone suddenly shouts, warning him to be careful. At that exact moment, a glass shatters from an upper building. A girl, Mimosa, appears out of nowhere, grabs him, and runs. Just as they escape, a massive explosion goes off right where he had been standing. Catching her breath, she turns to him, worried, and asks if he's okay. Before he can respond, other heroes arrive on the scene. One of them looks especially annoyed, frustrated that the burglars have escaped once again. He apologizes to Mimosa for putting her in danger and suggests she head to headquarters. As she leaves, she glances back, relieved that he is safe. Looking at the destroyed area where the blast just happened, the goat monster smirks and teases that if it weren't for Mimosa, he would be dead meat. Annoyed, he tells him to shut up. He knows that in this world, some people are born with special powers like super speed or the ability to secrete matter-dissolving fluids and much more. Those who use these powers for evil are called villains, while those who use them to stop the villains are known as heroes. Then there are people like him, ordinary, with no powers at all. Lying on his bed, he shares his thoughts with the goat. He says that if he had any power, he would bring true peace to the world, mocking the heroes for being unable to catch even a single burglar. But the goat reminds him not to underestimate them, pointing out that one of those heroes just saved his life. He pauses, then smirks. He says there are still plenty of villains out there robbing banks and causing chaos, and adds with quiet confidence that he'll defeat them all on his own. Not as a hero, but as the greatest villain of them all. The goat asks if he has any chance of gaining powers. He smiles and shows him a stone he found back in elementary school. The goat teasingly points out that it's the same stone he picked up while skipping PE class because he was bored. Eda doesn't reply, he just holds the stone quietly, thinking happily that it holds hidden power and that he'll become strong once he uses it. As he walks and talks, he opens his bag and is shocked to find his notebook missing. The goat reminds him he was using it in class. Panic sets in, and he rushes back to school, fearing what might happen if someone reads his notes. When he enters the classroom, he sees Subaru-kun holding the notebook, chatting with friends. Spotting Eda, Subaru grins widely. Eda asks sadly if he's read anything inside, but Subaru just laughs and denies it. Back at home, the goat notices his worried expression and advises him not to stress. He denies being worried, but the goat sees through him. He says that Subaru's confidence comes from the support of his friends. That's why he doesn't fear anything. He encourages Eda, reminding him that with the right use of his own tone and presence, he too can become powerful and change everything. Eda looks at the stone in his hand and silently agrees. Lying on the bed, he listens as the goat, whose massive body nearly takes up the entire space, continues to motivate him, saying that with true power, he won't need to rely on anyone else. Later, someone walks down the street while talking on the phone. The person on the other end warns him to be careful and asks how he plans to escape dangerous situations. He calmly brushes it off, as if the answer doesn't matter, at least not yet. At the accident site, he notices there's no trace of the liquid left behind and assumes it was so soft that it melted through everything. Eda arrives at the History Museum on a school trip. The teachers remind everyone to stay careful during the visit. As he walks through the corridor, the goat, clearly bored, suggests skipping the tour, but he quickly refuses, saying he's still upset about yesterday's incident. When the goat smirks and asks if he's really worried, he snaps back angrily, telling him to be quiet. Suddenly, both freeze as strange noises echo from a restricted area. The goat quickly advises going to tell a teacher, but he insists they just take a look themselves. Seeing the goat's nervous expression, he asks if he's scared. The goat denies it, and he, turning on his phone's flashlight, begins heading toward the sound. Out of nowhere, a person wearing a gas mask appears, releasing a strange liquid that melts through the ground. He grabs his phone, melts it instantly, and asks if he's still not scared. Another masked figure approaches and reminds the first one that today is a school field trip. He suggests they take he as a hostage and continue with their plan. Ignoring he completely, the villains start discussing their next move, to rob the bank. One of the villains, releasing the melting liquid, warns him not to run or he'll grab him with his bare hands, making he truly afraid. The other villain suggests they use him for ransom. Eda regrets that he destroyed the phone, as the villain demands his parents' contact info. When he stays silent, the gangster angrily yells and asks if he's a meteorite orphan. Noticing an emergency alert button a few meters away, he takes a deep breath. Then, in a sudden move, he turns and kicks the villain hard before dashing off at full speed toward the alert. The villain, shocked by the kick, yells after him, puzzled by his strength. As he runs, he tightly clutches the stone in his hand. Quickly jumping over a low wall, he reaches the emergency alert, but is frustrated to see it's out of order. Looking down at the stone, he makes up his mind. He'll try to awaken its power, starting by melting it. Eda grabs the stone and desperately tries to heat it with his teeth. But when nothing happens, confusion hits him. Slowly he realizes it's just an ordinary rock, nothing more. His eyes fill with tears as emotion overwhelms him. The hope he placed in the stone shatters. Snapping out of his thoughts, he drops to his knees, completely defeated. Without the stone, he has no idea what to do now. Choking up, he calls out to the goat, asking what he thinks. But as he looks around, no one is there. The truth hits him hard. The goat is not with him now. He begins to cry, truly and quietly, as the weight of reality sinks in, alone, powerless, and lost. Holding the rod tightly in his hands, he stands ready, a sarcastic smirk on his face as he hears the villain's angry voice shouting threats of revenge. Sweat drips down his face, but he quietly motivates himself, telling his heart to believe in his strength. He is strong enough. His mind flashes back to a moment from the past. He was in a hospital bed when the doctor gently asked if he was okay. After checking all his reports, they advised him to take it easy. The other doctors exchanged looks of quiet sympathy, knowing he couldn't play with the other kids. One even mentioned that his parents had passed away, calling him a poor, lonely soul. But he, calm and firm, had simply said he didn't need anyone to play or talk with. The doctors were moved by his words, some even admitting they wish they had his strength. Now recalling all of that, he steadies his breath. If he could spend his life alone and still stand tall, then he can face these villains too. He reminds himself, he is strong, noble, and most powerful lone soul. The villain bursts in through the sane wall, grumbling that it didn't melt as easily this time. But when he sees he's standing there with a strange expression, his face twists in annoyance. He snaps at he for looking so weird, but then smirks, pulling something from his pocket. It's the small stone. Holding it up proudly, he taunts he, asking if he's been looking for this. Then, with arrogant pride, he declares that this stone is incredible. It can turn an ordinary person into someone powerful, and the more it's used, the stronger it gets. Ignoring the warnings of his teammates, the villain pulls off his gas mask and laughs, saying he's going to use the stone himself. Tossing his mask aside, the villain grins wickedly as his body begins to release a corrosive liquid. He sneers that he wants to melt all the soft and beautiful things, like the tender flesh of children. As he slowly walks toward he smiles darkly and thanks him for the upcoming feast. But just then, he suddenly bursts into loud laughter, leaving the villain startled and confused. With a sly grin, he raises his hand and reveals a large, round stone. He announces that he too has a stone, news that stuns the villains even more. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Mimosa anxiously informs the teacher that he has gone missing. The teacher sighs and replies that he often prefers to wander alone. Still, Mimosa insists on searching for him. But before they can act, they both freeze as loud crashing sounds echo through the area. Everyone turns in shock as they see a massive goat holding a man in its hands, smashing through the wall and looking out into the open. Panic spreads quickly among the people around. As the giant goat tightens his grip, the liquid villain screams in pain. At that exact moment, Eda-kun, now dressed in a sleek black mask and uniform, appears in front of the towering goat. He casually asks the villain if it's his birthday, then proudly adds that today is his birthday too. The villain, still trying to escape, begins releasing more of his melting liquid, but the goat firmly warns him to stop. Suddenly, some concrete blocks above begin to fall. As one is about to hit the nearby students, he quickly rushes forward, extends his hand, and with his newfound power, stops the slab in midair. The students are safe, and he feels a rush of happiness from his heroic act. Subaru-kun, witnessing this, thanks him sincerely. However, when Subaru throws something again just to test him, he snaps, shouting that he doesn't want to save someone like him. But before he can say more, a commotion erupts. Students scream as a historic artifact begins to collapse. It crashes to the floor, creating a hole in the ground. Back with the goat, the villain tries one last time to use all his strength to attack, but his powers are completely useless against the goat's overwhelming force. Exhausted and defeated, the villain begins to lose hope. Then, following his instructions, the goat immediately releases the villain. Eda, standing in front of a large hero statue, feels thrilled by his own powerful strength. Energized, he kicks the statue, causing it to topple over. He thanks the goat and walks away with determination, loudly declaring that he will bring peace to the world and defeat everyone, both heroes and villains alike. As the fallen villain lies on the ground, panting, he questions if he is not one of their companions. But Eda, with a bold voice, firmly denies it, shouting that the others are not his allies, they are just his servants. As the hero statue falls and breaks into pieces, all the students become scared. Eda calmly walks down the stairs, hands a flower to Mimosa, and walks away while she stares at the flower in confusion. Now running through the street, he is excited and proud of his abilities, happy that he managed everything without anyone's help. Removing his mask, he laughs while thinking about his bright future. But he falls silent when the goat suggests he make good friends and even talk to the girl, so no one can mock him for being alone. When he quietly asks why the goat is saying this, the goat calmly explains that since he lives inside him, he knows all his feelings, and he's truly jealous of the heroes and others. But he angrily yells at him to stay quiet. The goat quickly changes the topic with a smile, saying they'll defeat the hero and his allies together. Eda again shouts at him, reminding him that he's just a servant. The goat quickly agrees, and as he looks back teasingly, Eda says he didn't raise goat like this. He recalls how, 10 years ago, a giant meteorite struck Earth, creating a massive crater. When it hit, sharp rays of light were emitted, giving superpowers to anyone exposed. He happily tells the goat that over 300 heroes are already registered, with more joining, but he plans to be the only one to take them all down. As he talks with the goat, a boy enters and shows sympathy over Eda losing his phone and suggests he go to bed since it's late. Eda realizes only he can see the goat, No one else notices him. Still sitting on the chair, the goat asks if he is not going to sleep. Smiling, he says he has many plans to crush the heroes and even thinks about skipping school forever. The goat immediately advises against it, which angers he, who snaps at him, asking who he is to give orders. The goat calmly replies that he's his imaginary friend, but Eda yells back that he's not a friend, just a servant. The goat explains that because of the stone, he materialized and is no longer just a part of his imagination, but he still can't control his thoughts, which remains a mystery to him. Still, the goat teases that despite all of Eda's dumb ideas, he wants to correct him, which annoys Eda even more. He snaps again, asking who he really is. The goat repeats that he is his servant. Changing the subject, the goat asks if he really doesn't want to go to school tomorrow, motivating him by saying everyone will be talking about him there. The next day at school, the teacher shows a news report on TV about the museum's interior being destroyed, with an estimated loss of 10 million euros. The report also warns that a suspicious person is involved and tells everyone to be careful both inside and outside school. He listens angrily. Then Subaru interrupts the teacher, saying the suspicious person helped the students and even helped the heroes catch criminals. Before the teacher can reply, others angrily interrupt, loudly denying Subaru and claiming the person was only showing off, not really helping or catching criminals. Suddenly, everyone is shocked when a hero, flexing his muscles, loudly says that despite the suspicions about this person, he reassures the students by calling them his family and himself an awesome dad. Seeing the awesome dad, everyone feels reassured that he will definitely catch anyone who harms his family. The whole class is shocked when he says he discussed yesterday's incident with the principal, which is why he's here now. Noticing Mimosa, the rabbit hero, he also appreciates her, and she happily thanks him for his hard work. Then, looking at Eda's picture in his suspicious costume, he loudly apologizes that even after 2 days, he hasn't caught the criminals yet, but promises to catch them no matter what. Many students with blushing faces approach the cool daddy, confessing they're huge fans. He laughs and declares that he is everyone's cool daddy. Then he warns that, despite what people think, that the suspicious person was either helping others or causing trouble, he's actually self-centered and a criminal. Eda, angrily watching, tells Goat that this superhero calls himself the cool daddy and calls all citizens his family, which sounds ridiculous to him. He angrily declares he will defeat this cool daddy first in his mission. Goat asks if he is aiming directly at the strong one. Eda explains, furious, that according to the cool daddy, he is the criminal, even though he fights to kill criminals and make the world peaceful, and wants people to see him as a lone, noble, strong person. Looking at a computer page showing a 10 million loss, he feels guilty and annoyed despite the great villains still trying to compensate. Goat points to a page displaying recent criminals and suggests checking if his name is there. Annoyed, he looks away and walks off without checking. On the other side, the criminal is running while the cool daddy tries to catch him. The criminal is wanted for first-degree robbery. Seeing he's about to be caught, he raises his hand and creates a huge, long steel wall between himself and the hero. From the other side, the cool daddy asks if he's using superpowers, teasing loudly that the steel wall doesn't appear automatically. The hero quickly breaks through the steel and approaches the criminal. Guiltily, he admits that due to his negligence, a citizen died yesterday. Emotionally, he warns the criminal to surrender, saying he's like family and that he will forgive him. But the criminal doesn't listen and mocks the hero's strange lecture, claiming he has a different kind of steel power. When the hero gets closer, the criminal immediately points a gun at him. At that moment, Goat and Eda rush toward the criminal and grab him by the collar. Goat slams his huge hand on the ground, shattering it. Eda stands in front of Cool Daddy, warning him that he is here to kill him. Shocked, Cool Daddy asks if he is the one from the museum. While Cool Daddy is distracted, the criminal shoots at Eda. But he laughs, confident that even a bullet can't hurt him. At that moment, he remembers the 4 million reward on the criminal's head and gets excited. The criminal quickly escapes, running fast. Eda flies after him, happily asking Goat about the reward and scolding Cool Daddy for his carelessness that lets the criminal get away. Cool Daddy shouts at Eda to stay out of it since even he can barely handle the situation. He also says that even if Eda catches the criminal, he won't get the reward. Shocked, he looks back at Cool Daddy to ask why. Seizing the chance, the villain raises both hands and instantly creates steel walls blocking them. Angry, Cool Daddy punches the wall, cracking it. Eda tells Goat to destroy it, but Goat's slight punch only makes him smile, admitting he can't break it. He then touches the wall himself and immediately shatters it into pieces. Watching all this, the hero looks back in confusion, realizing that even though he can dodge bullets, dissolve liquid, and manipulate objects, he's surprised to see Eda has multiple powers. As they run after the criminal, Goat asks why they don't just walk past the wall instead of breaking it. Annoyed, Eda shows him why. They reach the criminal hiding behind the wall. When Goat asks if Eda plans to kill him, he says he won't even hit him. Suddenly, the hero calls out, announcing he has caught the most wanted criminal. At that moment, Goat attacks Cool Daddy, who quickly shields himself and angrily demands to know why. Eda mocks Cool Daddy for not listening carefully since he already warned him that he came to crush him and the reward is an added bonus. Trying to distract our new villain, Cool Daddy asks about his true intentions. As Eda speaks, the hero, thinking that although the bullet didn't harm the dude, his powerful bullet might, so he shoots at Eda. A huge blast erupts. In the smoke, Eda is sitting on the lying Goat, calmly saying he's unaffected by the hero's bullet. Goat asks if he was scared earlier, but he denies it. The hero, annoyed and puzzled, notices his bullet didn't even damage Eda's outfit. He, feeling confident, loudly boasts that no hero can harm him, so victory is assured. Suddenly, a car speeds toward them and Eda, frightened, quickly moves aside. Cool Daddy angrily grabs the car with his hands, preparing to throw it, but Eda, worried, urges him to stop, warning that destroying government property would cause serious trouble. The hero angrily insists he has no obligation to explain himself. Eda, shocked, points out that destruction is akin to a criminal act. The hero grimly replies that with his power and organization backing him, they will cover any damages caused. Eda, stunned, listens as Cool Daddy quickly puts the car back on the road, explaining he misspoke and must minimize damage to personal property. Realizing the street is crowded and he can't catch the criminal without help, the hero pauses. Eda then loudly asks if the hero would destroy private property to save citizens, would he also destroy it to make the world a better place? Sitting on the giant's massive hand, Eda raises his own hands toward a huge banner and loudly declares his true goal: to destroy all the useless heroes, defeat the criminals, and make the world a better place. He announces that Cool Daddy is his first target. The hero boldly claims he won't be defeated because of the citizens, but Eda smirks teasingly, saying that without the citizens, the hero would fall easily, and that's why he hates him. The citizens begin to retreat, filming videos in fear. Eda explains that his main mission is to improve this rotten world alone as the greatest villain. Suddenly, he unleashes his power and throws the massive banner toward the crowd. Cool Daddy quickly catches it with his hands and hurls it away. Eda laughs, claiming victory, then moves away, warning them to prepare, he will defeat them all. Walking down the corridor without his costume, he happily explains to Goat his main plan to defeat everyone. He intends to overwhelm them with such power and skill that none of them will be able to do anything. Eda smirks eagerly, saying that with his abilities, he'll even defeat the hero, so no one will tease him about his loneliness anymore. Goat agrees his plan sounds solid but points out the timing was just barely okay. Meanwhile, on the news, the anchor reports that Cool Daddy has donated a huge amount to the museum. Sitting in the cafeteria, Eda looks sad when Goat asks about the 4 million reward. Goat suggests forgetting it, but he insists it was part of his plan. Goat reminds him that no one even knows about his speech. At the heroes' meeting, he sends a warning to prepare themselves because he plans to defeat them all. A female hero asks others if they truly think he is dangerous. Calmly glancing at his tablet, another hero dismisses the suspicious person, saying he simply dislikes heroes and isn't worth including in the meeting. Meanwhile, Awesome Daddy apologizes when the leader asks why he hasn't defeated he yet and allowed him to escape. Feeling guilty, someone else at the laptop suggests adding Eda's name to the wanted list just in case. After closing the meeting, the leader asks if anyone has questions. At that moment, a person holding a cigarette interrupts, coughing and saying they do have a question. Back at school, students watch the footage from the previous day, shocked to see he defeating Awesome Daddy. Whispers spread throughout the class, many curious and uneasy about his strange powers. Some speculate that the reason the organization placed him on the wanted list is because, despite his strength, he might be a villain at heart. Meanwhile, Eda quietly smiles as he listens to the murmurs around him. The Goat reminds him that although he's now famous, it's as a villain. But he, unbothered, calmly admits that he doesn't mind. He finds this feeling exhilarating. With a wicked smile, he declares that he'll let the world chase him, only to one day reveal his true identity. On that day, he believes the world will be forced to acknowledge him and everything will change. When the goat teases him about this grand plan, Eda snaps, demanding he stop talking. His thoughts are suddenly interrupted when a girl watching his old video scolds him for acting so childishly. She mocks his claim of being a noble, lone, and great villain. Then she brings up Mimosa's remarks about him. Noticing her blushing and flustered expression, she teases, saying that Mimosa must have feelings for him, even if he's a villain. She then asks about Subaru's comments. When pressed, he reluctantly admits that he originally thought he was a hero, but his actions now make him look more like the villain. Later, as Eda walks back through the hallway, he angrily questions Subaru's popularity, blaming it on his wealth and good looks rather than any real skill or knowledge. The goat agrees, then asks about his plans for the rest of the day. Eda, now changing into a new outfit with dramatic flair, declares that to surpass people like Subaru, he needs to find a hero and outshine them to gain the public's attention. Glancing at his reflection in a street mirror, he admires his look with pride. Goat hesitantly compliments him, prompting Eda to snap at him for taking too long to respond. Their conversation is suddenly interrupted by noise from nearby, excitement surrounding an event at Zuket. From behind a wall, they spot a young boy sitting on a soft seat, surrounded by 3 girls in idol-style costumes striking cute poses. Curious, Goat asks what's going on. Eda explains that this is a photo event where kids take pictures with idol heroes. Although some of them have powers, idols like Yuzuki also participate simply to make children happy. These events are often tied to charity work and community outreach. He adds that Mimosa Rabbit, Kitty Roses, and Veronica Bear are part of the Zuke group. Goat, noticing the long lines and crowd, teasingly asks Eda why he doesn't attack these heroes too, since they clearly draw more attention. Eda, visibly annoyed, snaps that these girls are not part of his target list. Suddenly, they see Subaru arrive at the event, flanked by 2 bodyguards. Mimosa immediately recognizes him, prompting one of the other Zuket members to ask if she knows him personally. Another quickly cuts in, reminding her that Subaru is the mayor's son. He calmly apologizes to the group, explaining that he just wants a photo to support the city's charity efforts and that he's also a fan. When Goat asks about the mayor, Eda explains that he's one of the central figures running the world. Goat, still puzzled, questions why someone as powerful as Subaru is attending an ordinary school. Eda, irritated, admits he has no idea, only imagining Subaru smiling and chatting with Mimosa in class. Nearby, girls watching Subaru and Mimosa admire how perfect they look together, while another scolds them, reminding them that, as a hero, Mimosa belongs to everyone. At that moment, the photographer requests Subaru to wait while the photo is being processed. Consumed with jealousy, he starts moving toward them. Everyone is stunned as he, wearing his suspicious outfit, confidently approaches the event grounds, accompanied by his massive goat-like monster. At the sight of him, one of Subaru's guards immediately moves to hide Subaru, while the other steps in front of Zuket to shield the idol group. The girls from Zuket grow visibly anxious, confused and scared as they realize he is approaching them directly. None of them have the strength to face him alone, and his sudden appearance sparks panic. To everyone's surprise, he calmly sits down on a soda crate in front of the photo area, striking a pose as if he's just another fan. Goat, standing behind him nervously, mimics a pose too, pretending they're simply there to take a picture with Zuket. While the girls awkwardly try to keep posing, they're clearly puzzled and uneasy, unsure of his intentions. Even Goat, while holding his position, whispers a fearful reminder that as wanted criminals, appearing publicly like this is incredibly risky. He, without breaking pose, snaps at him to stay quiet and keep acting normal. The crowd watches tensely as a thick, heavy smoke floats toward he. Mimosa quietly asks him why, if his goal is to defeat all heroes, he gave her a flower at the museum. He looks at Goat and suggests relying on him, but then decides to depend on himself instead. Their conversation is cut short when the dense white smoke envelops them from all sides. Everyone gasps as serpent smoke appears, calmly holding a cigarette. Eda angrily warns him not to interfere, claiming he can easily break the bindings. Eda signals Goat, who uses his power to quickly shatter the ropes. Serpent Smoke calmly explains that no matter how often they break free, the smoke ropes can rebind them repeatedly. Goat struggles to escape again but feels powerless. The man reveals that according to Daddy's report, the villain can only destroy objects by touching them, so he traps him instantly. Coughing from the smoke, Serpent Smoke remarks that Daddy had a bad match. Now Goat and Etta are tightly bound with ropes and guarded by 2 armed men on a bus. Goat, struggling to fit due to his massive size, wishes the ordeal was over. Etta steels himself, knowing the situation is real and serious. Goat, frustrated, says he hasn't done anything wrong and wonders if Etta's fight against the hero ended before it began. He shouts defiantly that he won't abandon his mission. A guard orders them to stop talking. As the smoke ropes begin to vanish, one guard relaxes and tells his companion they won't do anything now. Suddenly, a picture of Zuket and Subaru falls to the bus floor. They pick it up, suspecting the smoke captured it. One guard wants to return it, but the other refuses. While they argue, he signals Goat to free them both instantly. Feeling something strange, the guards quickly turn and aim their guns at them. Etta falls, while Goat looks at himself and realizes he only has a physical form when Etta transforms. At that moment, the bus finally arrives and police officers approach. They thank the guards, but are shocked to see Goat kick both guards out as the bus doors open. Suddenly, everyone disappears. Etta asks Goat if he killed the guards, but he denies it, explaining his armor only made them invisible. Walking alone, he wonders if they are in a prison or somewhere similar. They decide to run away quickly. As Etta runs, he suddenly notices his outfit disappearing along with Goat's. Goat looks shocked and says, like his physical form, his outfit lasts only about an hour. Annoyed, he asks why Goat didn't tell him earlier, but Goat says it's only a theory. Worried about his exposed identity, Etta thinks that if someone sees him like this, he'll be captured without a fight. He immediately decides to escape before anyone catches him. Then, shocked, he sees Subaru sitting in the bus, staring at him. They exchange awkward looks. As both boys look at each other, Subaru, shocked, asks if he is really Yodaka-kun. He remains silent, and Subaru, still puzzled and surprised, asks why he is here. Holding the picture, Subaru explains that he hid inside the transporter because he didn't want to lose the Zuket photo. Etta becomes speechless, but Subaru calmly adds that despite his true identity being exposed and being a wanted criminal, he has no interest in exposing him just yet. Angered, Etta asks if Subaru is mocking him, but he calmly admits he's not considering him as anything, which only fuels Etta's frustration. Despite Goat's attempts to calm him, he angrily storms towards Subaru, grabbing him by the shoulders and demanding he stop teasing him. In the struggle, Subaru's notebook falls to the ground, revealing pages filled with photos of him with the heroes. Embarrassed, Subaru quickly retrieves and hides it. With a sinister grin, Etta mocks Subaru as merely a fanboy, teasing him about pretending to be mature by claiming to donate to the city, when in reality, he just wants pictures with the heroes. Goat warns he to stop, but he continues ridiculing Subaru's reliance on lies and connections to get close to the heroes. He mildly denies the accusations, but Yodaka smirks, insisting Subaru acts this way because he lacks powers. Losing control, he angrily kicks Etta and demands not to be compared to him, admitting he hides because fools like him make baseless assumptions from a notebook. Etta retaliates, mocking Subaru's behavior, who then grabs Yodaka's collar, loudly accusing him of fabricating powers like an invincible armor and manipulating objects from afar to protect his weaknesses while attempting to defeat heroes far stronger than he realizes. Etta yells back in anger, but suddenly Subaru gasps and flees. Watching him leave, Goat realizes his harshness may have exposed his true identity, though he stubbornly refuses to accept blame. Within minutes, the building is surrounded by police. Etta tries to escape but quickly hides, confused by the growing crowd. A reporter stands in front of the building, speaking live, on air. He explains that the suspect inside is the same criminal who can control liquids and who previously destroyed the museum. He also reveals that the criminal has kidnapped the mayor's son and is demanding a car in exchange for his release. The police refuse to accept the demand, standing firm. Suddenly, the mayor arrives, his face cold and unreadable. As officers try to stop him, he moves forward and offers himself as a hostage in exchange for his son. The criminal grins, taunting the mayor by saying his son is just bait, then shouts for the car to be brought immediately. While he and Goat are hiding inside the building, Goat begins to realize how serious the situation is. He asks C if he's really not going to help Subaru. Etta quickly responds, saying it's Hero's job. When Goat asks if he can transform, he looks annoyed and confused. He admits he has no idea. He also seems angry, knowing that if the criminal escapes, he might try to kill him again. Etta even adds that if the criminal comes near him, he'll kill him without hesitation. Goat, seeing how tense Etta is, tells him to calm down, reminding him that acting out of rage won't help, especially when they don't have anything in their hands right now. He then remembers how Subaru once teased him, saying he was just using his powers to hide his weakness. That memory makes Goat feel disappointed in himself for doing nothing and for having no real reason to get involved in something this dangerous. On the other side, the criminal holds Subaru tightly and warns them not to take too long. Turning to the mayor, he threatens to break one of Subaru's fingers, lifting it as if ready to snap it. The mayor quickly shouts, begging him not to do it and assuring him that the car is arriving soon. Watching the situation, a man with a calm face tells the mayor that once the criminal escapes in the car, he'll make sure the criminal doesn't harm his son or anyone else. The mayor responds with a faint smile, saying the criminal is a killer, and it's pointless to talk like that. The criminal looks visibly angry when he sees the car hasn't arrived yet. Laughing, he turns to Subaru and asks if he remembers a strange goat at the museum. He also brings up mentioning a boy dressed in all black, a meteorite orphan, and asks if Subaru knows his name, address, or anything about him. In return, he promises not to hurt Subaru again. While Eda and Goat sit helplessly inside the building, the mayor informs the criminal that the car has arrived and demands the release of his son. But the villain smiles and says he'll return the boy only after he has completely escaped. He then loudly offers a deal. If Subaru reveals anything about the suspicious person from his class, he'll release him immediately. Realizing that Subaru isn't going to reveal his identity, Eda, filled with determination, suddenly stands up. Meanwhile, the criminal, holding Subaru by the shoulder, enters the car and warns the mayor not to try anything risky or his son will suffer. Goat watches helplessly. Everyone is shocked when Eda appears, flying through the air in full costume. He lands on the car, smiling, and asks if the criminal missed him. At that moment, the criminal grins with an evil laugh and unleashes his strange fluid all over him. The liquid hits his costume, while another hero shields the citizens and reporters. The police, confused, hesitate, unsure of what to do, since both are wanted criminals. When Goat asks if he can still transform, Eda, clearly irritated, explains that the transformation happened unintentionally and now only makes him stand out. But then, pointing angrily at the criminal, he adds that it also gives him the chance to stop him. As the criminal laughs and looks at him, Subaru takes the opportunity and kicks the villain. At that exact moment, he commands the gate, triggering a massive blast between the criminal and the boy. Subaru quickly runs away, and the police officers rush in and rescue him. A female hero smiles and says she helped save Subaru-kun. He thanks her as he leaves safely with the police. While the crowd slowly clears, Eda turns to face the criminal for a fight. The villain, with a proud smile, throws his melting fluid at him and checks to see if he's injured. He confidently says he's fine, but suddenly feels pain in his body. Goat shields him, explaining that he hadn't fully recovered and is still suffering from the side effects of his multi-power. Seeing the fluid affect him, the criminal grins proudly. Goat angrily explains that the villain is using the fluid like a cushion to weaken him. Seeing him in danger, the same calm man urges all heroes to assist, but Eda angrily shouts for them not to interfere, saying he can handle it alone. Goat suggests accepting help, but he refuses, saying they're not companions. Just then, the criminal throws the fluid again, pushing him back. Despite that, Eda admits the criminal is strong and powerful. As the villain approaches, he suddenly grabs his hands and declares that since he's now touched him, the criminal can't harm him anymore. While reporters capture the moment, he smiles and says, "I've already touched him." At that exact moment, Goat throws a car at the criminal. He quickly stands back, bracing himself against the wall. He then taunts the villain, daring him to fight now. But the criminal, reaching his hand out from the car, grabs his leg. The grip hurts him badly, but he endures the pain. Everyone around watches with concern. Just then, Awesome Daddy grabs the criminal by the collar and lifts him into the air. The villain warns him that his hand might get hurt, but Daddy immediately knocks him back onto a police car. The crowd starts cheering and praising him. Eda, shocked, yells out, asking why no one is cheering for him. He's the one who fought the criminal first. Daddy replies that he didn't even notice him there, but still thanks him for helping. Eda laughs proudly, saying he wasn't helping them. He just wanted to defeat the criminal on his own. Then, pointing at the heroes, he declares they're his next targets and flies off, while the police officers watch helplessly. While Mimosa looks at the photo, she wonders if he is truly a villain. Subaru watches her curiously. Now flying on Goat's back, Goat asks him if his leg is okay. He calmly says he's fine and feels relieved, He not only defeated the villain but also saved the mayor's son. Goat praises him, calling him a lone, noble, and powerful person. He smiles and agrees. Meanwhile, in prison, the captured criminal is fully restrained and confined in a high-security cell. Frustrated, he thinks about how, despite damaging the suit, he still failed to learn the hero's true identity. Just then, the cell door opens. He looks over in surprise, but seeing no one enter, he assumes it's either a malfunction or someone trying to help him escape. Then, a masked figure silently enters and places a warning hand on his shoulder, calmly saying that his time is running out. Once his weakness is revealed, heroes will come for him. At home, Goat asks Etta if he's alright. He smiles, reassuring him that he still has the courage to face any challenge ahead. Back in the prison, the masked figure calmly reveals his face, Subaru-kun. His voice steady and composed, he says, "Criminals like you must be stopped by a hero like himself." On TV, the news reports that the criminal managed to escape, but thanks to Awesome Daddy, they caught him again. Now the villain is back in prison. While eating breakfast at a restaurant, everyone around talks and asks if they checked on the villain Goat, and also about the mysterious person who always calls himself the greatest hero. Hat listens angrily. At home, he looks annoyed hearing everyone call him a villain instead of using his real name. He decides it's time to give himself a proper name for everyone to use. Goat finally asks if his leg is okay, suggesting he should skip school today. Hat, with a weak smile, refuses because it's Friday and everyone will be talking about him. In class, everyone keeps asking Subaru if he's okay and admiring him for kicking the criminal. All this annoys Hat. He stands up and leaves for the restroom. When Subaru sees Hat leaving, he apologizes to his classmates and follows our villain boy. In the corridor, he asks about Yodaka's leg, but annoyed lad shouts back, teasing him as a fanboy. Goat tries to calm them down, but Hat insists he's not weak and mentions how Subaru would have died if they hadn't helped him. He believes that Daddy and the princess would have rescued him. Hat mocks him, saying everyone teases him because he's just a fanboy. After their argument, Subaru wishes him a quick recovery, but Hat, irritated, warns him about spreading the rumor. Goat reminds Hat about his secret. Suddenly, both are shocked when Mimosa arrives, asking if Yodaka will have time after school and showing concern about his injured cheek. Meanwhile, at the jail, the headquarters is informed that despite tight security and the criminal being fully tied up, he's dead from a direct cut to his left carotid artery. In the city's main office, there is a heroes meeting. The officer reports that although it's been 10 years since heroes appeared, they have performed well. However, due to the current situation, he urges all heroes to work harder, as they need to re-examine the administrative districts in each area. Dominion-kun says they won't do much. Daddy asks him to help with facilities since he's good at machines. Dominion calmly replies that he's not paid enough to perform heroic duties along with other jobs. Daddy insists it's not about money. Dominion loudly admits he does care about money and questions Daddy's calm personality, noting he was famous for his donations. Sipping his drink, Dominion teases the police and heroes, saying that with him around, the villain Goat and another escaped, which is unacceptable to the public. Daddy shifts the conversation, expressing shock at someone killing a criminal, even while in jail. Dominion angrily shouts at the smoking hero beside him to stop smoking. The hero calmly denies, saying it's just a habit. Dominion shouts again, declaring he's number one because he doesn't want to meet his children. Suddenly, a phone call informs them about the incident. Daddy, who is filling his cup with food, quickly stands up to head to the scene. When they arrive, they're shocked to find the third-ranked girl hero has already solved the issue. After school, Yodaka meets Mimosa, who is stretching and warming up. She apologizes for calling him out and nervously asks if he'd rather run or walk with her, sharing that she mostly runs here. Goat worried about his injured leg, but happily says it's a great opportunity for him. As they walk, she asks his opinion about the villain Goat. Shocked, he asks if she knows anything about him. With a warm, reddish face, she looks down and admits nervously that she likes the villain and finds him awesome. Realizing he overheard her, she blushes deeply and tells him to keep it a secret. He feels a bit guilty about her feelings but hopeful. When she asks if the suspicious villain is truly bad, Bai explains that though Goat helped many people, he always claimed his mission was to defeat the heroes, which is wrong. When Mimosa asks his opinion, he firmly says Goat is truly a villain who wants to destroy all heroes. Hearing this, she panics, looks sad because she has feelings for him, then embarrassedly thanks him and quickly runs away. He is shocked watching her run so fast. Goat teases him, saying the dark hero is also a good athlete, but he, annoyed, insists he's not a hero at all. Then he starts chasing her, running quickly. Goat flies alongside and says every time he transforms, he feels a surge of positive energy thanks to the stone's power. As he runs, he suddenly stops, seeing 5 sisters in matching outfits making faces while walking on the road. Suddenly, he hits an invisible wall and is thrown hard back onto the road. One of the girls immediately rushes to him, concerned, asking if he's okay. One girl explains that he was running toward them and hurt himself. The 4th girl places her hand on her lap, holding a bell, and all the girls start singing a stress relief song. At the chief's office, the sister heroes are seated. Their leader apologizes to the chief for failing to save a life. The chief coldly explains that even though they saved one girl, as heroes their duty is to save everyone. He reminds them that after the meteorite strike, many children lost parents or relatives and now live alone, like today's culprit who wanted to end their own life. He advises them to be a hope for such children. The girls agree to keep this in mind. The chief then looks at a report and says the meteorite fragment is missing and hasn't been found. He asks if they know anything about it. The girls immediately lie, denying any knowledge, and fake an apology for not doing their duty properly. Scene shifts to Eda's childhood. He smiles and wishes his mother a good morning. She smiles back and calls him an early bird. He asks if she's going shopping because he wants to go too. She happily says no, she isn't going. Then his father interrupts, teasing his wife that she always denies shopping but ends up buying a lot. His mother fake laughs while listening. Watching their playful argument, he laughs and suggests they all go shopping together. Eda wakes up from his dream, and Goat greets him with a cheerful good morning. He angrily shouts about how massive his body feels every day. Goat reminds him that he chose this size himself. As he changes his costume, he declares that his official name is now Villain Goat. Mimosa had told him it sounds really cool. Standing up determinedly, he loudly proclaims that he is the noble, lone greatest villain of all. Putting on his school bag, he shouts that since everything is going so smoothly, he will work hard so no one in the world calls him weak. Goat asks if his leg is okay now. He replies that it's much better. Suddenly, a guy appears, removing his glasses with a confused look. He asks if Eda is still going to school today since it's Saturday. He's also puzzled about Eda waking up early and making his own breakfast every day. He simply says it makes him happy and walks away. Goat then tells him about the news, but he annoyingly refuses to watch it. On the TV, the news anchor explains that due to this new strategy, there has been a surge of organized crimes, so they advise the heroes to be extra vigilant and take care of the situation. Now as they arrive at the supermarket, Goat, confused, explains that he needs to buy some things. As he enters and sees all the family shopping together, he feels a little lonely, but quickly regains control. Goat easily distracts himself by directing his attention to other sections, saying the equipment he's looking for should be over there. As he walks with a smile, he thanks Goat, the best servant who's doing his duty perfectly. While he's talking to Goat, no one else can see him. Subaru suddenly notices Eda and looks shocked. Turning to his bodyguards, he tells them to wait outside because he needs to talk to his classmate privately. Addressing him, Subaru asks if he's really talking to his goat and suggests he stop doing that. Standing there annoyed, he admits, "This is the worst day ever." Subaru shares that by talking to Goat openly, he is scaring people and that he's likely to get captured by the heroes. Annoyed, Eda declares that the heroes can't catch anyone, they're just a bunch of weird singers. Immediately, Subaru realizes he's talking about the Merry Goose Choir and teases Eda, asking if he plans to defeat them. Subaru warns he not to underestimate the Merry Goose Choir's powers. He explains they have 5 different types of hypnotizing abilities and are famous for their strange looks. Because of this, people often mistake them for real sisters. They're even allowed to sing hymns in churches. Knowing all this, Eda teases Subaru, calling him a fanboy for having so much knowledge about them. Suddenly, Subaru notices something on his cell phone and quickly walks away, declaring it's really a bad day. From behind, Eda shouts at Subaru, telling him not to show up in front of him again. Later at the market, he sees a kid excitedly running toward his mom while holding hero gummies. But the mom looks confused and puzzled, almost unconscious. Seeing this, the kid quickly comes back and apologizes. The kid suggests to his mom that they should go to Target Mars, since they also sell the same hero gummies. Meanwhile, Eda is selecting his shopping items, observing people around him, some admiring heroes, others chatting while shopping. Suddenly, he notices the 5 sister heroes approaching him from behind. They apologize for the trouble they caused him yesterday and ask if he's alright. Before he can respond, a crowd gathers excitedly around the heroes, taking photos of them. The woman who bought the hero gummies earlier looks at the items but quickly looks away. One of the hero sisters notices her reaction. When the shop owner asks why they are there, the heroes apologize for the inconvenience and explain they are offering the woman jewelry as a gift. Eda ignores their conversation completely and tells Goat to check if his purchased equipment works well. Excited, he then decides to fight and defeat the real sisters using his new weapon. Later, at home, the kid asks his mom where she's going. She slightly closes the door behind her, advising him to stay home as she has work to do outside. More cautiously, the woman looks around nervously. Seeing no one nearby, she glances at the recorded footage on her phone. Tears well up as she quietly whispers, begging for the moment not to be recorded. Fearful, she reaches for her phone to call the police. Suddenly, the sister heroes run up to her at high speed. One asks if her powers let her record everything she saw and if she can play it back. The frightened woman promises she won't tell anyone. Without listening to her, another sister warns that it's risky to keep such evidence. Calmly, the lead sister counts aloud, mentioning that despite the strange accident, only 3 humans have been killed, and still, the culprit hasn't been found. They start singing again, and with a cold smile, reassure the woman that it won't hurt her much longer. Before the sisters could affect the woman, Eda suddenly appears between them and the lady, shouting their full long names, declaring that he is here to defeat them all. The woman, shocked and sweating, immediately approaches he and grabs his hand, pleading with him to save her since he's the one who wants to defeat every hero. Worried, she asks if his motive is because he knows the true identity of the heroes. Eda looks confused. At that moment, the lead sister hero steps forward calmly and explains that the woman suffers from a mental illness and that they are here only to protect her. She suggests he wait while they ensure the woman's safety. The woman, still very scared, begs he to save her, fearing that these girls want to kill him. Eda, confused and trying to make sense of the situation, hesitates. Then Goat calls him master and suggests he carry the woman and run away. He angrily shouts, asking what he's supposed to do with her. Goat calmly explains that it's his instincts acting up. These heroes are standing right in front of him, yet they keep demanding the woman, which is suspicious. Still puzzled, he declares he's not going to rescue the woman, but when he sees one of the sisters start singing verse 5, he immediately grabs the woman, holds her carefully, and flies away. The sisters remain on the ground, shocked, declaring this day the worst ever. As he flies off carrying the crying woman, he also shouts that this is the worst day for him.
Here I am.